those are factors. Those are the factors that will help anybody, gender bias or not. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you try to be good, if you try to be good as in good in your work. I think the gender bias can be easily sidelined. The only thing I found that happened was I had to be doubly confident. I mean, if my counterpart architect is a male, if he says something, it becomes very easy for the site team to take the suggestion or take the change. But as a woman, I had to literally fight my way through and make myself be heard. Initially, see, earlier when I started out and when I graduated, the number of females in architectural profession was very less. There were a lot of males on the side. We would barely see a engineer lady on the side. So at that point, it was slightly difficult, but I think your sincerity, your knowledge comes through. After a point, it's a profession. I don't think it matters whether you're a male or a female. That's my viewpoint.
Yeah, nice one. Archana, I like that blinkers wala, anecdote, what you talked about it.
Yeah, I think you just focus on the race. Don't bother about the nitty-gritties. They will sort themselves out.
Yeah. Another dilemma which you must be facing continuously being an architect is that, you require to balance creativity with commercial viability. It is always design to cost of versus cost to design.
Yeah.
So can you recall a project where this tension was, particularly very pronounced or very high? I guess Shefali and Hema will agree with me. They are profit owners. And how did you manage to reconcile with this competing
It's
demands?
not a project, it's every project. I don't think it's a single project that I would like to pick and say this is what happened. But I think that happens even in our personal lives. When you go to buy a flat, let's say, you do search for 10 different options and you do weigh the pros and cons. And of course, cost is a major criteria even at that point in time. So I don't think there's anything wrong or right in it. In fact, I think everybody wants value for money, and why not the developer also? So I think the way to sort of resolve this is provide options which are, um, I wouldn't say, well, cost efficient and serve the same purpose. But this is happening on each and every site, each and every site. It's just the way it is, I think. But that's human nature, I feel, more than anything else. It's not always, I don't think it's always guided by profit margins. It's sometimes, let's say X value is put to this material. You can get Y similarly if you do your value engineering properly. Sometimes it's an upgrade also.
Yeah.
So it is a challenge, but it is a fact of life.
I remember a project in my career where, when the project was acquired, it was actually a low cost housing. And suddenly, when it got designed, it became a very high end project, but it sold like hotcakes. And
Right,
the entire
right,
profitability for the company changed.
right.
Yeah. So, yes, sometimes architect's vision definitely helps in taking these conscious decisions. So,
Right.
is there any incident where, especially wherever you have done very high end projects, so even in Voyage to the Stars, the art, such conscious decisions were taken?
Uh, yes. But there, I mean, luxury projects, the client is more aware because they do see the market scenario is different for a luxury segment.
Right.
They are not always willing to put up with the finishes, mostly finishes. The rest of it is pretty standard in that sense. So they are not willing to accept the finishes what the developer provides. So what happens is when it goes beyond a crore and a half segment, market segment goes beyond that, people become more choosy. And obviously, the mindset is that my neighbor shouldn't have what I have. Sometimes that is what happens. And that is the strata of sort of society you are dealing with over there. So, yes, there also, in fact, on some of my projects, people have gone to Italy and struck deals with vendors there and brought the product at a project rate. Not even China, Italy. So, you got an Italian product at a good rate. And I think you have to explore different avenues is what I feel, to be able to give a, see, my client is a developer, but that client's client is a buyer of a property. And we are indirectly dealing with someone unknown per se. So we have to also do that exploration, that, what are the possibilities in the given cost factor.
Right. So just, going ahead with this question. So have you faced any ethical dilemma in your architectural career, particularly when, balancing this client demand and also with environment or community or sustainability concern? Has such kind of thing you have come across anytime? Would you like to share some story about it?
There is no dilemma. I am very thankful to the government for setting up MOEF, IGBC, sustainability initiatives. They have also got a additional FSI if you have some sustainability factors plugged in. So I think government is doing its own bit. So now it's like give by one hand and take by one hand. And the developers are aware of these positives that they're getting, because they are, see, earlier the customer was also not aware. Today, customer has become very aware. So they also look at projects which have IGBC rating or Griha rating or GEM rating or whatever, all these ratings, because they know that end of the day, it's not a one-time investment. There is a recurring cost that they have to bear throughout the life of the property. So these are parameters which are making our lives very easy, to be very honest. So I don't think we are facing any dilemmas per se. I think even the developers are maturing, and they are sort of going forward, and they themselves are suggesting some measures. I think it's a great time right now.
Do you
Really,
think it is getting balanced basically?
very much balanced, very much balanced. And the younger generation of developers definitely are more aware. So they do see the positives in that X factor. That X amount is really not much that we talk about. So even the bare minimum is generally taken care of. So people try for the gold or the platinum rating. So I think
So,
maybe I'm lucky. I don't know. Maybe I'm lucky.
yeah, great to know that, because as a part of costing budgeting team, we had tried to find the impact of, when you are moving from, say, a silver rating to a gold rating and gold rating to a platinum rating. And the impact was maybe in, say, 200 rupees a square feet of construction area and all. So then it becomes a very conscious call to be taken, especially, when the margins are tight and developers are, they are working in a very different kind of model. It is not necessarily the land is owned by them. So in such things, had you ever, and where you were able to convince the developer ki, no, boss, you should do this because this is going to reap you benefits in some other way? Have you, or do you recollect any such kind of incident?
Not really. But what we do mostly when we design, we take some of these parameters into consideration at the word go, because now that these are the things that need to be addressed, and some of them have design implications. Right. So those are the factors which we take care in design. Most of it is now, of course, services related, So where architectural intent is concerned, we do take it into consideration while we do the design itself. In fact, just the other day, one of our projects was getting a rating, and they're now shifting from gold to platinum, because we had a discussion, and I said, have you considered these points, that there's a wind tunnel effect that is getting created, and there's cross ventilation that is being addressed, and 4-5 points, and they said, you know what, then let's try for platinum rating. So some things, if you take in design itself as an architect, yes, but you are aware that most of this is like services related. Some of it is, other parameters that are construction related. Those are being taken care of by the client as a baseline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have got any checklist, or you follow certain rules that if a new project comes in, this is the basic things we.
Yes. We do have a checklist. In fact, we have a checklist not just for we have a checklist for, okay, I think I have an OCD, but I have a checklist for just about everything. I have a checklist for what I want from my consultants. I have a checklist for what information I need from my client. I have I have a checklist for materials, and
Okay.
I have a checklist as per segment of a project that we are doing. So, I have a checklist. I have a checklist even for the drawings that get sent to site. So there's a GFC tech. People have to check, my architects have to check and clip the checklist with the drawings to make sure that they have. See, most of the mistakes or most of the oversights happen because we take things for granted. But you have something hard written in front of you. You just have to tick and say, yes, I have taken care of this. So yes, there's a checklist even for design.
Interesting.
Before we put pen on paper, there's a checklist sent to the client.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
involve the client also in the entire process.
Oh, very much, very much, very much. I have a checklist even for survey, what information I need on the survey. So I accept I have an OCD, but I think it works like a well-oiled machine then. Then there are very less surprises.
Okay, I guess that must be your secret ingredient for you being so successful.
No, I think it's the design. I think it's the opportunity. I'm sure it's a lot of other things also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned about working in, different sectors. So I know you have worked in residential, commercial, malls,
Yeah.
retail, hospitals, even child development centers.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. So how do you, handle these different things, and how do you bring the essence out of this, in your design? So how do you do that?
See, we are as professionals, we are taught some things, right? We learn some things when we graduate. Some comes with observation, because you do see around you and keep your mind open, keep your eyes open. You grasp some things, and I don't grasp just the positives. I look at what is wrong in a building or what is wrong in a circulation. That is more important sometimes than what is good in a building. And see, like you mentioned, the Child Development Center. That was such a fantastic project because that was, I did it for KM Hospital in Pune. And for children with learning disabilities like ADHD, autistic children, various mental issues. So that when if you had seen the building, it was like a typical government hospital with the central passage and rooms on both sides, and a typical government hospital. So the first thing I did was, what is it that I want in this? They should be free. They should feel free. I knocked down the walls. I literally created a very open environment for them. Wherever they needed privacy, we provided privacy, and wherever they needed light coming through, we just opened the whole thing up. So, and we added a dash of colors because, see, there is a sensory perception, even if they cannot speak, even if they cannot communicate. Sometimes there is a sensory perception that does give them a feeling of being safe, of being happy, whatever. So those are the things. Each project which I have done has a different design parameter, different requirement, and I think we just address those basic parameters. And there is one thing where you address the parameters, and there's one thing where you go beyond and try and do. I have achieved the baseline. Now, how do I do it better? So break out of the box and then put the box back together, something of that sort. So I think you just keep questioning yourself whether this has been your best or not. And if it is not, then chuck it and restart again.
Very interesting. Yeah, since you say this, that you look at the baseline and you keep on, what improvements can be done. Do you ever revisit your old projects which you have
Very
designed
much,
and
very much, very much. I'm very critical about what I do. So I do go back and I do see there are some things which, as an architect, it's a teamwork. Okay. So, end of the day, I have a certain part to play. There are, all of you are from the construction industry, so it's like a movie plot. You guys come in, plug in what you have to do, and go. STP vendor will come and do STP and go, or electrician will come and do his part and go. So one aspect is consultants, what their design is. Two is the construction team, what their abilities and capabilities are, and over the time when the building is handed over, how it is getting used. So for me to go back and revisit. Again, like I said, I observe what didn't work for the building.
Okay.
What worked is well and good, but what didn't work? So even in terms of design, in terms of material, even in terms of services, what I could have done, I have done that. I have done that.
Okay. Okay. So there is one question which has come up, and that has come from Sangeeta. So, Sangeeta's question is related to her business, which is into manufacturing of composite panels for constructions. So, what is construction industry's acceptance level when it comes to using sustainable material for construction, materials that have been tried and tested? How does one get them to start exploring and using such materials?
I think first is you will have to probably start on a smaller scale, make sure or have a mock-up done on site and make sure it works. Once the client is convinced that something works for them, then they do not worry about whether it's new or old. See, also, I think the exposure has widened a lot for the industry in terms of material availability. So people are open to exploring, but what they also want is the comfort that this doesn't blow up on them at a later date, because now 5 years is the where they are responsible for what work they have done. So obviously, if they are convinced with the mock-up, I think it should go forward. I don't see an issue with that at all.
So she has asked a very relevant question in addition to that, and that is even which came to my mind before I read it, is that do architects like you influence such kind of decisions?
Yes, of
So
course.
is it okay to go and network with, architects in particular city and get
Of
this
course,
product promoted?
of course, of course. See, it's only when the architects know that this is available is when they will recommend it. Uh, uh, Very rarely we get time to go explore products. It's only online that we search sometimes, but physically when a vendor comes and shows something, it makes a lot of difference to us. You should go and meet architects. Definitely.
Okay.
Architects and site engineers, two people.
Architects and site engineers, but I guess
Yes,
site
not
engineers do
site
not make.
engineers,
Huh.
the people who are the decision makers on site, maybe the manager or whoever.
But I'm not so sure because generally the project managers will not be able to take such kind of decisions because decisions are already made somewhere else and they have to follow it, right?
Yeah, but there are times when the project goes through value engineering
Okay.
process, and it does bring in change.
Yeah,
And
I understand.
actually, what also happens is the lifespan of a project is so big that the design start at X, and by the time it gets into construction, it's already 3 years gone or maybe 2 years gone. So when the finishing material come into picture, so they do explore because definitely they also want to make their project up to date to whatever the standards are at that point in time.
Okay. So yes, very interesting. So this also gives a very different perspective, because nowadays the products keep on updating a
Yeah,
lot.
for sure, for sure.
That's right. So yes, you have been sustaining a practice for almost 30 years. So what Khushbu has asked, the question is that what is the working system you follow in your office?
In terms of, I did not understand. Like, how is the?
So basically the entire process, how do you handle it, or are there any checks and balances? Am I right, Khushbu? Khushbu, you can also speak over if you want to change the question.
Yes, so basically the problem which being an architect I am facing, that how is the working system in the office? Matlab, who is designing, who is taking over the working, then who is taking care of the site? That's how. What is the system of your working?
Oh, okay, understood. So the design is done by the seniors, obviously, and we do have levels of architects in the organization. So there are mid-level seniors and juniors. We involve them. We set a team for a project. So what happens is, if they are involved from the design stage itself, they know what has gone into the project. We also, if possible, involve them in meetings. It is a lot of time that sometimes we spend just in meetings or just in attending meetings. But what I have found is, one, the interest of the architect remains in the project, because if they're just asked to do drafting, architects especially, okay, we are creators, we are designers, and if you put them in a drafting job, they do not like it. So that if that touch is there with the project, and if they are involved in a from the concept itself, I find it works a lot better. Also, we have a system of having weekly meetings on a project, in which everybody sits and discusses the project in terms of what was discussed, what needs to be done, how it needs to be improved, and everybody's inputs are taken in that. So it could be a small thing, it could be a big thing, but everybody is aware of the reason why something is getting done. Uh, See, I think many times I have worked in organization, and when I was a junior, I was just given a drawing to do. But there was no understanding of what the project was, why was I doing that drawing, what is happening on the site. And I also allow all the architects to visit the site, because that is the only way they know. Despite my checklist, believe you me, I find there are some things that get missed out on the site in the drawing. Only when they go to the site and they attend these meetings and they get these RFIs and they get these questions asked on site, that is the only time they learn that, this is what was missing in my drawing, and that needs to be addressed, so that one mistake doesn't ever happen again. And mistakes also get discussed in the office. So if there was some mistake in the drawing, it gets highlighted, it gets discussed, its implications get discussed. So the seriousness also gets understood by everybody. Answering to your question, the design gets done by the seniors, then the design development concept, the presentations, everybody is involved, the team members. And then we go from schematics, design development, working drawings, and site. Every stage we have the person involved, either visiting sites, either doing the drawings, and they take responsibility for their own work. Checklist gets signed, so we know that this gentleman or lady has checked what was supposed to be there on the drawing, and that's how we work. Where integration of other consultants' work is concerned, I am happy to say I also have a checklist on that. So they get ticked, points get ticked, and then they know that because juniors do not have that ability. They are architects, but they still don't have that experience, and they need to visualize the project in its entirety, not just as an architect, but also how the services are going to be routed, how the plumbing is going to be seen in the elevation. We don't like that. So these are the parameters that I have set down and pointed out, and they check that, and then we send comments, and these things get sorted out.
Yeah,
I'm
actually,
sorry.
Hema asked us a very relevant question, which you talked about. I hope it answers. So, Hema
Yes.
asked about that. Do you have a system or checklist to inspect the completed projects to understand
Yes.
the
Yes.
gap between theoretical design and actual operational issues?
Yes, but it's not as comprehensive, because honestly, it's done. So then it becomes like a postmortem. It's a learning experience then.
Yeah.
But yes, but it's not as comprehensive. Instead, we have visits to site, where it's only related to checking what is going on the site. Now, um, I find even engineers see. Okay, let me put it this way. Before you put plaster, the alignment of the wall has to be checked. That doesn't get checked. Now that has many impacts, or the slab or beam, or it could be anything. Now, these are the problems. When you start resolving, you realize that somewhere something is not right, and which is not in my control. That is where then for one project, I used to have a meeting with the site engineers, explain to them what my work is, what plumbing work is, what I used to do that, believe you me. So nothing gets left out. And that project turned out to be much better. But there is I think people don't like doing this, because it sort of puts them at maybe they feel uneasy getting instructions from architect. There's always this slight tussle between engineer and architect. So so that is, it's not happened on any other project, but the project it did happen out has turned out superb. No flaws.
Okay. Can you, so I guess till people ask question, I can just take one of the questions which we have curated is that, can you tell something about the Arc Voyage to Stars? Because I guess that is one of the projects which has got the higher, I think the largest terrace amenities in the whole world. So you'd like to
Actually,
speak about
I
that?
don't know how much time we have because I had a presentation and I wasn't sure whether I would, whether you guys are interested in, I have a presentation on the project. So if you're interested, I could show that. If not,
You can share it and then we can put it in our group also.
okay,
So,
I'll do that. I'll do that.
yeah, but would
So-
you like to speak something about it?
Oh, sure, because that's a project very close to my heart. I think that project is one of the finest specimens of what we've done right, to be honest. It is okay. As an architect, I'll very briefly talk about it, and if I'm longer than what you need me to be, just tell me because I can rant about this for a long time. The project started. We did two projects there earlier in the same for the same developer. One was Cloud9 and second was Nine Hills. Okay, these are all residential projects. The last phase of the project, the developer came to us and he said, "This is like I'm weaving a story for you guys." Okay, literally. So the developer came and said, "You know what? I want. This is going to be my last project, and I want to do a landmark project." Now, which architect doesn't like that? I mean, who wouldn't want that? So we said, okay, we'll give you a landmark project. Okay. And the site was beautiful. It was on it was a sloping site. The part of the site was fronting a road which is almost 1.5 kilometers, so it had a good frontage, and behind was a reserve forest. So I mean, it was a match sent in heaven sort of a thing. So what when we started designing that, that was when, of course, it was a luxury project because of the prime location that it was. Now, the phase 1 and phase 2, when we had started, it was in the boonies, okay? I mean, nobody used to go there. It was a dead end. And when this third phase came on, the Nine Hills and Cloud9 became a hit. So the whole areas got charged, and that's how the luxury project came into being. Luxury, we started with definition of luxury. What do you mean by luxury? Luxury can mean different things to different people. You know, somebody can have a BMW, somebody can have a Jaguar. That's still luxury, but there's a lot of difference in luxury. So we ourselves defined luxury in terms of design, okay, not in terms of lifestyle necessarily, but in terms of design. So if you look at a plan of, it's a very simple plan. It had to be because the requirement was that the developer wanted, I think, 3 cars per flat for 3 BHK and 4 cars per flat for 4 BHK. Okay, that was his requirement. Now, when you come up with something like this, obviously my parking has to be efficient. So the whole building is on a parking grid. It's on a parking grid. So parking is, I think the ratio is like 315 or something per square foot.
Wow.
Yeah, that is this thing. So the highlight was that we decided to be honest, we said we've taken up a lot of land. Let's put it on the terrace. And the developer said, say yes. And honestly, it had nothing. It looks a lot like the building in Singapore, but it didn't start out like that at all. And the whole thing developed. We went from whole to part. We laid the buildings, we laid the views, we decided what we wanted. He wanted shopping, he wanted like 350 flats. So 1,200 something car parks, you know, that sort of a magnitude. So you had to look at traffic flow, you had to look at views, you had to look at lifestyle, you had to look at um, within the flat what you wanted. So whole to part to whole, we just kept doing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then eventually we came to the facade. So, you know, it's literally like it's like literally like a human body, you know. It's got skeleton, it's got structure. So which was on a parking grid. It had plumbing, it had drainage, it had envelope of a skin. So everything was modular and just fitted. So there's curtain wall, there's cladding, there's roof. Roof has got a service floor below, and it just turned out to be a very efficient, very integrated development.
But actually, when you talk about modularity, it might have helped in construction also.
Of
Am I
course
right?
it did. We didn't reduce the column size. We integrated the column within the flat. So if you look at the flat, you won't know that it has columns inside it at all. And we had gypsum walls. So we gave flexibility. Somebody wants to combine 2 bedrooms, somebody wants to combine 2 flats. And there are people who have done that.
But is it okay? Because there have been a lot of videos which, which
The
show
gypsum walls.
the gypsum walls.
No, I think gypsum walls, Kirit has worked abroad in the States. So he, in fact, went to site for almost 4 or 5 months, training them on how to erect the gypsum wall. There's insulation in the gypsum walls. It is the spacing of the members that gives it the rigidity. So even in the gypsum walls, you can't hear what somebody is talking in the bedroom,
Oh.
in the living room. So yeah, see, you have to do it, then you have to do it properly.
properly.
Yeah.
So even, there were, I guess you must have also seen the videos when someone is punching the gypsum wall and
Mm.
it breaks down. And
It doesn't.
it doesn't, because
It
then
doesn't.
you have not
Yeah.
used the right
You
kind of-
you have it at the right spacing. Even the services, we routed them through the ceiling. We pre-planned for services in some sense, because we didn't want this, because this is luxury. We had a separate service area where we had the gas bank, where we had the ODUs, where we had even the what is it called, MCBs. Everything of the flat was outside the flat, so nobody had to really come inside the flat to do any servicing.
Oh, is it? So no servicing from inside. So
No
it's all
servicing from inside, except if there's any issue with the plumbing or things like that. But those were also underslung pipes which were routed through the ceiling.
So, but underslung was accepted in such kind of luxury project,
In fact,
because
yes. Again, with underslung, you have types and types of fixtures and fittings and pipe fitting
Yeah.
that you need to use. So the noise cancellation pipes were used, and yeah.
okay.
They used a manifold in the ceiling, where it was all the pipes came to that single manifold.
Single manifold.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are a couple of more questions. I think we should take them, and then yeah. But I think you should share that presentation, because this is a very interesting project, and
Sure.
people might have more questions, so they can just approach you.
Sure.
So one of our guests have asked that from stone walls we have shifted to brick, to cement bricks, to steel reinforced steel and glass. So how does planning differ in such cases concerning slabs and beams?
The reason we have shifted from steel, such construction material, one is the workmanship that stone requires, and the availability of labor, such skilled labor, is not there. Second is, we are going for high rises nowadays, so the load on the structure is compromised, and it becomes more expensive. Even brick, now we are using lightweight and fly ash bricks and things like that. So structurally, it becomes lightweight if you use steel and like we use gypsum. And second is, construction becomes faster. Today, no matter what, time is of essence, even in India. So construction becomes faster.
There is always a 30% labor shortage in all projects.
It's always. And our labor, unfortunately, we need, I think, institutes where you can provide skill learning to those labor. I think somebody should take up that as a.
Sheetal, are you listening?
No, honestly, because they gouge jate hain and they disappear for 2-3 months. So that's a done thing now.
Yeah. So we were actually working on something. We are trying to do that.
You are? Lovely.
On behalf of the Real Woman Global Company.
Lovely.
So Raji has asked an interesting question, is that, many projects fail due to MEP detailing. Please, MEP people, don't take this to heart. So how do you control that in your projects?
This was Hema's question. I think it came on a private chat, so I've just copied those two questions.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, but there are a lot many MEP people over here, so don't take this to heart. So Archana,
So MEP for an architect, an MEP will fail in two ways. One is where we don't want it to be seen, it is seen. That is aesthetically the first aspect that I think an architect worries about in terms of not just structure, मतलब columns and beams तो हमें देखना ही नहीं है, and of course pipes नहीं देखना है. So we want to hide away and conceal those. But second is the workmanship of things on the project. So I think that is way out of control for an architect. But I find with underslung piping, it's become easier to access pipes. We also we work extensively on, like I said, I have a checklist. So we work on where the AC is going to be, how it is going to be routed, where the ODU is going to be, we decide. And even if the developer is not providing, we do decide where it's going to be and how it is going to be rated to the ODU. So we provide spaces for that, So it's not like koi bhi aaya, kahi bhi balcony mein laga diya, somewhere somebody put somewhere else. We don't do that. As far as plumbing and drainage lines are concerned, I think it's mostly leakage problems that I find. But that is construction related. If I think better labor force would be the only solution to that.
I guess even people are now shifting to 3D modeling, BIM,
and all
where
that.
the clash
Yes.
detection happens.
No, that clash detection we used to do irrespective of BIM, to be very honest. See,
Okay.
because we do visualize, so we do know that there's going to be an issue here. BIM is very easy for everybody. But I think it's the workmanship. The leakages are the major aspects of MEP services. Otherwise, I don't think electrical or HVAC, we don't really face any problems.
Okay. It majorly comes in plumbing, basically.
It majorly comes in plumbing and drainage, major.
So Sheetal is having the last word, saying that appointing a good MEP consultant is the key to it.
It is. Definitely, I agree with her. But I also, I'm of the honest opinion, the engineers also need to be trained well, and the labor definitely needs to be trained well. Tum kitna bhi detail bana ke do, we have fantastic details, but it's of no use.
So I had one question. Yeah, Sheetal.
Sorry, Amita.
Go
Amita,
ahead.
sorry, I just wanted to add, because we work on same projects with Archana also, I just wanted to add, like typically MEP, we get a shock when we go to the site and we see chambers and stuff. In spite of coordinating with everybody, it happens. I feel like how we are taught a little bit of MEP in architecture. These guys also should be taught a little bit of aesthetic design in their course. I second that. I second that. And aesthetics is, I agree, different to different people. But I think after working on N number of projects, you do know that an architect does not like the pipe to be seen in elevation, or simple thing like the water has to drain to the nani. I mean, how difficult is that? Correct.
But we find that is a problem.
That doesn't happen in our projects, okay? By the way, we give very detailed drawings and those are executed, because once you give a lot of detailing in the drawings, then and when you give coordinated drawings, what happens? When a plumbing contractor consultant standalone gives drawings and electrical consultant gives the drawings, and then drawings are not coordinated, then problems are there inside. But once you give as a MEP consultant the total coordinated drawings and very detailed, then
I agree.
There are less chances at exhibition stage.
Yeah. I agree totally. And they need to be coordinated. See, that is the tagline. It has to be internally coordinated.
I'll tell you, in Pune that there is a trend, like for many years, there's always a separate plumbing consultant, separate electrical consultant, separate HVAC consultant. Nowadays, that trend of MEP has come. But otherwise, in Pune, predominantly, they have specialized consultant for each field,
Correct. But otherwise, they used to tie up together and give services. So it was eventually the same thing.
Yeah, but then nobody was taking pain of coordinating it in one drawing, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so last one question. Now, Archana, the call is yours. So there are two questions with me right now. One is, value engineering kills architects' creativity. What is your opinion on it? And the second question is that you being a woman, you are wearing multiple hats. So that is stressful. So how do you manage, and anything that helped you in this year? So choice is yours. You can answer either of
Okay. I'll talk about the value engineering aspect of it because I don't know, wearing different hats, whether I've done it properly or not. So, that's debatable. So, value engineering does not kill creativity. Okay. Creativity is creativity. You make a idol of Ganpati of clay या gold. Value engineering में creativity उसकी नहीं गई है. I think what happens is the design needs to be so strong कि आप mud plaster also you put, it should come out good. And if you put whatever the best material you want, it should come out good. Yes, it will look much better with something else and it may not look as good with something else, but I don't think it kills creativity. It does, actually, value engineering, no. Value engineering, my understanding of value engineering, what is practice is probably different. For a given material and its performance, if I find another material which is just as good in a lesser price, that is value engineering. But if somebody tells me that, madam, आपने ये material दिया है, but हम ये लगाएंगे, ये cheap है, but ये performance may be cheap hai, then that is not value engineering, and that will not kill my creativity, but it will downsize the product. It will downsize the product. So if I'm looking at, and this happens only in finishing, to be honest, is because everywhere else you cannot compromise on the basic nitty-gritty of the building. But value engineering happens when you're selecting tiles, when you're doing the finishing of the facade or whatever. It will impact the end product. Yes. Creativity ko bach bhi nahi karega. It will not touch creativity.
Interesting. So, Archana, it was nice to have, a discussion with you. I hope everyone enjoyed. So, over to you, Anju.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amita. Thank you, Archana ma'am. I wish we can go on and on like that.
I
But
know.
then we
I'll have to
but
chat so you
respect.
can make out.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to respect time. Yeah, thank you, Archana ma'am. Experience today that old is good. Old is gold, and it never fails.
Don't call me old.
And a lot of
Just kidding.
takeaway from this. So thank you so much. Thank you so very, very much. I would also like to thank Sheetal for introducing SheLeads, the first episode, and Priyanka for the introduction of Archana ma'am. And of course, Amita for running us through swiftly to the 30 years a long stint, and you run us very swiftly through that. And thank you, audience. We will be announcing our next session very soon. So, and we expect all your participation as it's today and many more people with you. So please spread the word. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for inviting me. To be honest, I just I know it's been a long time, but when somebody says I have a 30 years experience, that is when it hits home that it's been a long journey. It was an enriching journey. Never felt 30 years. It's more than 30. I won't tell you how much, but it's been fun. It's been fun. And I call myself a student of life and student for life. So I'm going to keep being a student. So I keep learning from you guys also. There's a lot that I am trying to pick up at this age. Old is gold. We'll see later what the gold is. Thank you so
And it's very
much.
valuable nowadays.
Archana don't like to be called as madam also. She will tell you, call me Archana, and I call her Archana only.
Nobody in my office calls me really madam.
Yes.
Only the new gen which has come, I think they feel very uncomfortable calling me madam. Isliye they call me madam. Otherwise, nobody has called me madam as yet.
Okay.
Okay.
And even, I feel comfortable calling her Archana because the way she talks to you, she makes you comfortable. Even I feel like calling her Archana. Like I never call her ma'am and all. I always call
Hey.
her Archana only.
I agreed. And I think just by calling me madam, respect nahi hai. I don't think that's giving me respect per se. I think it's just the way people are used to. If you respect a person, you respect a person. You can call whatever name you want, and Mine is Archana.
Yeah,
So
that's
call me
true. That's
Archana.
true. I agree. I completely agree. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Thank you,
Lovely
everyone.
session.
Thanks
Bye.
a lot,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank
For,
you.
yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye everyone. Thank